Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Alli, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick and mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I am passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you were meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. I am your host, Alli, and I am so stoked for today's special guest, Marina Middelton, everyone. Round of applause. Woo woo.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. Also, I feel like both of us have the highest energy. So just being on this podcast, I'm like, we just spent like 30 minutes just chit-chatting. I'm like, okay, we actually got to record now. Like, we're just having too much fun without us starting. But thank you so much for having me.
I am so pumped to have you here, and I totally echo that I feel like we are sort of the same person on those like high frequency energy scales. So everyone here is lucky enough just to listen to us. Imagine if we got to all be in a room and have like a glass of wine or a coffee together. Our heads would just pop off.
Yeah, can we make that happen?
Please, and a sleepover.
Yes.
Okay, so we know that I love you and I'm obsessed with you. But for any of our listeners and my community that don't know you and are also not yet obsessed with you, but they will be, tell them like, who is Marina? What is Marina all about?
I am also obsessed with you. I always lead with I'm a mom. I'm a mom to an 8-year-old. He just turned 8 this month in November. I am a wife. I'm an entrepreneur. I come from the corporate world, so I have a marketing background, and now I help women and entrepreneurs all over build their personal brand and their business. And we just have so much fun. I feel like whenever someone asks me to describe myself, I'm just like, I'm crazy, I'm bold, I'm just like blah all over the place, but also I'm such an introvert, which is always funny whenever we talk about like networking, because I love being in a room, but I'm terrified to be in the room. And I feel like that is something that a lot of people are shocked by, but can resonate with. So that's a little bit about me.
Shocking, we're kind of the same person in that sense that I'm super extroverted, but I also have a total introvert side where I really love being at home. We have 3 dogs. Like I actually had this sort of moment last night. Matt and I were sitting on the couch, and I love that both of our husbands' names are Matt. So basically best friends. And I was just sitting on the couch. Matt and I were having a Negroni before dinner and just having some good chats. And Matt's to my right on the couch. We're having our beautiful Negronis. And to my left are our 3 dogs, like literally all touching each other. And I just looked around. I'm like, Matt, this is like a perfect moment. Like this just fills my heart with so much love and joy and gratitude that we have this beautiful, warm and cozy home. And we're sitting here having a drink that we enjoy and really good conversation. And our dogs are here. And just like this wonderful moment. And it was sort of this introvert moment as well. Like this is really special to me.
I love that so much. And I always feel like because we we show parts of our life on social, it looks like we're such extroverts. And like I said, like, don't get me wrong, I love being in the room. I love going out and I love seeing my friends and I love meeting new people. But I love more than anything else to just sit at home with my family and just snuggle on the couch and just relax. And even after any of the events that I go to, people are like, let's do dinner, let's do that. I'm like, yeah. And then I like go into the room and I just lock my door, turn off my phone, and I'm in the dark because I'm like, I need a moment to recharge. So we are the same for sure.
It's so true. And I mean, we're going to really dive into all that you're doing right now. And you're doing a lot of things right now, but a lot of big, exciting things. And I feel like that as, we kind of continue with the conversation, people will even understand that, you pour into a lot of people with your full heart and your brain and your energy and your creativity. And I think that recharge time is super important. And I have some really good questions for you about like recharge time and routine that I love knowing how high performers just operate on a daily basis. But I want to first start with what you're doing right now, because I have been a super fan on the other end. And maybe even before that, I'll say for everyone listening that you and I met in a really high energy room. We had first been connected via our friend Christina, but then we met for the first time at Lori Harder's Girlfriends in Business. And I think the roof might have blown off a little bit when you and I actually, met in real life. So now you are creating some really incredible experiences, and I want everybody to hear all about what you're doing because from my side, I am so obsessed with it and I have so many questions about Blueprint Mastermind. So first, let's tell everybody what it is.
Yes. So Blueprint Mastermind is a 6-month cohort for entrepreneurs that are looking to take their business to the next level. These are already established entrepreneurs, whether they're launching a new business or a product, or they're feeling burnt out and they need maybe help fundraising or exiting. We really cover a lot of the things, but it is with myself, Jaclyn Johnson, who's the founder of Create and Cultivate, and Alli Webb, who is the founder of Dry Bar. So 3 of us have completely different expertise. And like, I cannot tell you enough how much I love the 2 of them and how much it's been such a gift to work with them because before the Blueprint, which I think is really important to call out. So I used to work for Yahoo News and Tumblr. That was my corporate life. Working with Fortune 500 brands, helping them with their messaging and their digital campaigns. And then I went on my own December 2019. And so 2020 was really the start of my entrepreneurship. And that's when I launched my company, Empowered Confidence. And so Empowered Confidence was always dedicated, to helping women build their confidence and then build, monetize, and scale their brand. We did that for 4 years. We're still doing that. We have 2 courses, our business course and our personal brand course. We do VIP days. We have our one-on-ones. And it was amazing. We do retreats, mastermind, but I always felt like there was just one thing missing. And I wanted to take my expertise and then bundle that up with, other entrepreneurs that have built, scaled, and then exited their business, something that I haven't done, right? And so I feel like there's one aspect of my entrepreneurship and my knowledge that I can share, but there's another aspect that my community was needing and hungry for that I didn't have access to. And so that's kind of when the Blueprint Mastermind came to life. And I reached out to Jaclyn and I was like, hey, you want to do this? And that's it now.
Yeah, like super fan over here. When I saw that you announced this, and I'm afraid where I was and but I remember I just stopped dead in my tracks. And I was like, holy flippin' smokes. Like, this is amazing. I am so proud of you and love this. And I need to know how you became in the network and orbit of these successful women like Jaclyn Johnson and Alli Webb. So spill the tea.
Yeah. So Jaclyn Johnson and Alli Webb are so out of our circle. So when I say our circle, like we go to the Lori Harder events, Chris Harder events, and a lot of the coaching space. And I've met so many of my closest friends in there, but I always felt like there was this other world out there that I didn't get a hold of. And so I started going to Create and Cultivate. So Create and Cultivate is one of the largest online, offline platform for small business owners and entrepreneurs. So the massive conferences that happen in LA, New York, Austin, they have a huge community. It's amazing. So I started going to Create and Cultivate pretty religiously. So I went in 2021, 2022, and numerous ones. So every time I would go, the first time in 2021, I saw Jaclyn Johnson and I really froze. Like Alli, when I tell you, she walked by me and I was like, I don't have anything to say to this woman. I'm just going to walk away. I'm too nervous. And I feel like for everybody that's listening, I'm sure you've had that moment where you just feel like you don't belong in this room. Imposter syndrome is real. Even if you have so much value, you're like, oh no, this is just too much for me. So that was me. And everybody else, what I did was not say anything, but instead I DM'd her and I was like, amazing event. This was awesome, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, oh, thank you. Next time, say hi. I'm like, okay, cool. So I kept going to these events really because I wanted to speak at Create and Cultivate. That's kind of how I set this goal of I'm going to continue going. I'm going to network. I'm going to speak at Create and Cultivate. Because speaking at Create and Cultivate is a big deal in that space. And so I ended up speaking at Create and Cultivate. I had Jaclyn on my podcast, and that was when you write things on your bucket list and you're like, oh my God, this was even bigger than what I had on my bucket list. And this was even bigger. And that's kind of where I was. And that was that. I had her on my podcast in January of 2023, so earlier this year, and we never spoke again. And I was driving. Alli, the story is so crazy because it's so crazy, like ridiculous. I was driving and I was just thinking about how I wanted to make, just more of an impact. I feel like I had outgrown a lot of the things that I've been doing, a lot of the rooms that I was in. And so, I had this idea while I was driving. What if Jaclyn Johnson, literally, I was like, Jaclyn Johnson and Marina Middelton start this mastermind for entrepreneurs? Like, this would be amazing. And so I was truly driving. I opened my Instagram app. Like, I should not have been doing that. And I sent her like a talk to text message. And I said, hey, I'm going to send this to you. I have a crazy idea and I want to send it to you before I talk myself out of it. Have you ever considered starting a mastermind? Immediately, she messages me back. She said, yeah, what do you have in mind? And I was like, oh my God, this is my chance. Now, I think it's really important to call out that I live my life between the idea and fear. So whenever I have an idea, and then when fear strikes, there's like this sweet spot in the middle. That's where I try to live my life of just like, I just F it. I just got to take the leap because I will talk myself out of it. Like, I am the queen of thinking of worst case scenarios, and it just won't happen. And so I literally took the leap and I sent her voice memos of like why I'm the perfect person to start this mastermind and my expertise and all of this stuff. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we like went on an email chain and she's like, by the way, Alli Webb is also interested. Now, Alli Webb to me was like not even like Jaclyn was so far out of like my reach. Alli Webb wasn't even on the list of like who I would be speaking to. And I think that really says a lot to the stories that we make about people based on their accolades and based on their success. We feel like, oh, like they're not even in the same like building as us, never mind the table or the room. You know what I mean? Like they're so out of our reach. And the past, now 9 months has shown me that it's all fake. You can talk to whoever you want to talk to. You can go into business with whoever you want to go to business with. And there's a very high chance that you will teach them way more than you think that they will teach you. And it's been such a beautiful, crazy, amazing business journey. And now we're inseparable, like truly.
Sorry, I'm just over here. I need to pick my jaw up off of the ground because that is the most incredible story ever. I didn't know any of that.
It's crazy. It's crazy because it's like, who would do that? And truly, I feel like a lot of us just don't do the things that are crazy because we think it's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I actually am truly a little bit speechless. Like I had a lot of really great questions organized as you were telling about the blueprint. I have my questions ready to go. And I just got really derailed from my shock value of how you guys met. But the message there of anything is possible could not be more true. And I'm also kind of obsessed with that area of opportunity in life where like what's, for your side of things, like what is the worst thing that can happen? Okay, fine. They can ignore you. Or they can write you back and be like, thanks so much, not interested, no thank you, basically decline. But there is all of this space and area for opportunity of like, but what's the best thing that can happen? And look at you, you are a walking proof of that.
Yeah.
That is just incredible.
Insane. And again, we miss out on a lot of opportunities. What do they say? Like you miss out on 100% of the shots you don't shoot. Like truly, like if you don't do it, then you're still in the same place that you were. If you do it and it doesn't work out, then you're still in the same place that you were. So why does it matter? Just do it. Like literally just take the leap and do it. And I know, again, people are like, well, it's not that easy, but like it is. It might, like our ego gets in our way, like our fear of like, oh my God, like what could happen? It's like, who cares? Just do it. It's not going to change your life in a different way if nothing happens, because then you're still in the same exact place that you were,
Oh, totally. I heard Jen Gottlieb speak at Lori's last Girlfriends in Business when she was getting ready to launch her book, Be Seen, which is now out and it's an awesome read. I feel like I honestly talk about it like every other episode of my podcast. But she talks about, she's got a great analogy about fear being, you're in a car, you and your passenger fear, but moving fear out of the driver's seat and into the passenger seat. So, fear is not controlling you or your decisions or your thoughts. And then I've thought even further, well, it would be nice when you can kick fear out of the car altogether and it's just you and you're just cruising and following your dreams and chasing your goals and, creating all this space for the magic that can happen.
Totally. And I feel like, again, we're so scared of fear. And I do this activity that's called Hello Fear. And you think about, what is the goal? What is the fear that comes up? What's the best case scenario and what's the worst case scenario? Most of the time, worst case scenario doesn't happen. Like, fear is always going to be there. And again, like, thinking about Alli and like Jaclyn and looking at them, in my head, I'm like, oh, these women aren't scared of anything. These women could do anything. They could talk to anybody. And that's not the case at all. Like, Alli just launched her book, The Messy Truth, and she talks a lot about, the messy truth and like how painful success can be and how hard it is and all of that stuff. And I'm like, why do we let fear hold us back when it's like, it's never really going to go away. It's just something that you carry along with you. And so I always like rate my, or like assess my fear of, am I going to die? Like, am I scared because my life is in danger, or is this new and exciting and like can evolve me and stretch me? And to your point, like, with the Blueprint, life looks very different for me now than it did 6 months ago, right? And that was literally because I decided to just take the leap and put myself in a position that was so crazy and like wild, you know?
I love it. And I'm loving watching your journey and just consuming the success that you're in. And that is so exciting. And it's really amazing how quickly all of that can happen to
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like just 6 months ago, it looked totally different. And so at the time of this is coming out, you've recently wrapped your first in-person Blueprint Mastermind experience in Napa. Like, also, hello, what a beautiful destination to host a mastermind. Sad I was not there. That is very my vibe. And where is the next one happening?
Nashville. So we're currently enrolling now. The next one kicks off April 1st to September 30th. And so that will be the 6 months. And then we kick off the 6-month mastermind with 2 days in person. We're doing it in Nashville, Tennessee. Have you ever been to Nashville?
I've not, but I did just go to the Carrie Underwood concert and loved
Ooh.
that.
Yeah. So
Such a
I've never
like
been to
vibe.
Nashville, but it's like one of my like top 5 places that I've been dying to go to. And the place we're doing it at is just so gorgeous. And I'm like, this is going to be so much fun. And that's the whole thing. Like, these in-person events are supposed to be like the recharge and the motivation that you need. Like, we do something very intentional where, so for this last class, March 31st is their last day. And so in person, at the end of the 2 days, we go one by one and we say, my name is blah, blah, blah. By March 31st, I will accomplish X, Y, and Z. And like, what's really cool about, and we talk about this a lot of just like being in the room is, the first person goes and then the next person is like, oh, my goal is actually so small compared to that. Make my goal bigger and bigger. And by the end of, they get into the end of the 50 people, they're like, talking about raising money and exiting and hiring and like, you know, speaking on stages and writing their book. I mean, the goals are they're so expansive, and it just shows you that you're like feeding off of one another. And so there's like very direct ROI. Like, we are, as your coaches, are goaled with like helping you accomplish that goal that you set in that 6 months. Like, that is our responsibility with you. And so that's something fun that we really do that I feel like I haven't found in other masterminds.
Oh, I just love this. And how is the mastermind, maybe more so the in person, how is it broken down? Because, you look at the three of you, you are all remarkably accomplished and you kind of are known for very unique and specific things and areas of success and your story. It looks and feels like it would just come together so beautifully. What does that look like in terms of, what you run with and what Alli runs with and Jaclyn?
Yeah, so we do a really good job at like just dividing and conquering. So Jaclyn and Alli will talk about mergers and acquisitions. I will talk about all things personal branding. The three of us will do some hot seats, business hot seats. But we have a lot of VC like directors come in and speak. We do pitch contests. We have lots of speakers. So the CEO of Dry Bar, he was the CEO of Dry Bar, and now the CEO of Summer Friday, he came and spoke. We have some social media training. So we do lots of the actual like panels and speaking. But then really where the magic happens is in the breakout sessions. So like we are just, breaking out into smaller groups, and letting everybody talk and vent and, troubleshoot their problems together. And it's these like mini round tables. And so although we come with the expertise of like our, certain things, it's so insane to see how much value each person provides to one another. It's like less of value that we provide and more about them, pouring into one another.
I think that's so true and impactful that, you have these incredible leaders that effectively facilitate the room, but then the relationships, as you're saying, the magic really happens with everyone pouring into each other. And I think that's really neat. And maybe I'm slightly biased from my own experience that I've gone into some of these rooms, not quite as large as 50 people just yet, but I've done Chris Harder's roundtable, which is 14, and then Lori's Girlfriends in Business, that's 70. So I haven't quite hit that 40, 50% experience just yet, but I love having a nice variety of what I have in my sort of like mastermind and personal development toolkit. But I feel like there's so much impact that comes from other people in the room that, you invest in the experience for the leaders, whether it's, one person, two, three, however many leaders and coaches, but all the people that have similar values and goals, clearly, because they're also investing in these rooms and experiences, that those relationships are amazing. And I might say this because I'm slightly biased, because I've made some incredible friends over this last year from rooms like, what you guys have curated with Blueprint and all these different events and experiences.
Totally. Yeah. Honestly, it's so amazing to just see the impact that happens. And it's also, Jaclyn actually said this on her story the other day of like, we've built these businesses. A lot of the topics that I talk about outside of personal branding is like building your business and systems and automations and teams and building community. But a lot of the entrepreneurs, they build their businesses and you're building the community like within your business, but you don't take the time to actually like build your own community. And I feel like for us as the facilitators, I'm like, oh my God, we've made so many friends with these members, like all of these members have become our friends. And so it's been really just a beautiful ride. So thank you for asking about it.
Oh, I could probably go on for a whole other hour, but I have so many things I want to ask you. So before we kind of go into, because I do want to touch on personal branding because you were a queen of that, but I wanted to, when we're still on the idea of masterminds and investments and, building yourself up, what does that look like for you? Have you maybe mapped out, your 2024 of where you want to invest, whether it's, one-on-one coaching, is it masterminds, in-person events that are one day or multi-day? What does that look like for Marina's 2024 plan?
Yeah, so I have been in the busiest season of my life, like truly. And I feel like I'm constantly speaking to like my mentor, therapist. I'm going to church a lot. Like I'm doing a lot that's like, pouring back into me professionally and some personally. So 2024, I'm really like challenging myself to take some time, not off, but more of like, I want to do breath work. I want to do sound baths. I want to travel and do some like relaxing things. I want to just pour back into myself and invest in that way. In terms of the professional growth, definitely lots of in-person events. One-day events are really impactful for me just because I get to like go in and go out. And then I'll try to do like some like back and forth, like piggyback those trips as well. And so really in terms of investment, I just want to be able to take some time off, even if it's like with Matt, my husband, or Sebastian, my son, and like really pour back into my life while we continue to stay busy, because being busy and productive is really amazing. I don't want it. It's not going to slow down. And I don't want it to slow down, but I just want to take care of myself as well during that.
I think that's important, that's like a whole other, component of filling your cup with things that make you feel joyful and rejuvenated and healthy. And maybe that isn't, 4-day events or masterminds. Maybe it is, as you said, like breath work or yoga, Pilates, whatever it may be. I'm really big into that when I'm in a busy season. Like my workouts, non-negotiable. That's still always how like my day will start, and then can I calendar block from there. And I had actually said this to you before we hit record that, I'm going to ask you about your daily routines and I want to know all about a day in the life of Marina. So now is a really amazing time to chat about day in the life of Marina, but also like some non-negotiables that are in your wellness, mindfulness toolkit that are the things that keep you feeling your very best.
Yeah, I feel like day in the life just goes by so fast because I feel like every single second is accounted for. Even if it means like I get to relax for a little bit. But my days usually start anywhere from like 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning. That is one of my non-negotiables. Like nobody suffers more than when I wake up like late because I don't have that hour to myself and I need that hour before everybody else wakes up, before Sebastian's like, "Mom, can you do this?" or Matt's like, "Hey, what's the plan today?" Like I just need that hour. So that's one of my non-negotiables. So I wake up 5:36. I usually will go either do some cardio or I'll do F45, which is a gym near us. And then so that's usually like what I do in the morning. Come back, get ready. I'm having my coffee in the morning, making my breakfast, and then I actually start working anywhere from like 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'm go, 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 go until 2:30. My day ends around 2:30 because I pick up Sebastian from the bus. And so now that I have partners on the West Coast, that means it's only 11:30, 12 o'clock their time. And so that has been a big adjustment for me the past, 6 months because I'm like, okay, like my day's almost over and you guys are just starting. Like, how is that going to work? And so I do themes for my days. And so some days have been ending later just because I have later meetings and it's like whether it's like legal or, just like different calls that I do. So I usually will work until 2:30 and then I will take a break for a couple hours and then after dinner or bedtime I'll like revamp up and make sure if like I missed anything or if someone needs to do like a quick call. I'll do that. And then I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock, the latest every day.
I
It's the
love
best
that.
thing ever. It's like the best thing ever. And every once in a while, Matt will be like, "Do you want to sit and watch a movie?" I'm like, as long as it's like a 30-40 minute movie because I got to go to sleep at 9 o'clock. So I like sometimes will like stay up a little bit later. But yeah, so that's kind of my day. And the reason why I say that is like, I break down every single day. I said this on the last podcast and I feel like people lost their mind on it. On Sundays, I plan out my whole entire week, but then every night before I go to bed, in my notepad, I write wake up at 6 a.m. 6 to 6:10, I'm getting ready. 6:10 to like 7:30, I'm working every single like hour on the hours allocated for on this like to-do list. And that helps me stay so structured. And I know it's like so psycho, but I'm telling you, it allows me to be so productive.
This is one of the topics that I think now when I have guests on the podcast, like I need to know, like especially chatting with sort of that high performance, personal development, business owners, entrepreneurship. This is a topic that I just love, and I want to know like what time do you wake up? How many hours of sleep do you get? Because I'm absolutely now in a season of like, oh, I only got 8 hours, which I know some people listening are probably like, you're an asshole. That is a lot of sleep, but I. Yeah, I know. Some of my friends are like new moms are like, yeah, how's that 8 hours
Yeah.
going for you? It's
Yeah,
great.
like so Sebastian being 8 years old and like all of my girlfriends having younger kids, I'm like, sorry guys, I'm so far out of that stage. Like my kid sleeps right through the night. He goes to sleep at 8, wakes up at 7. Like it's beautiful. We don't have to worry about it. But no, it is such a great topic because everybody does things differently. And there's certain things that like I want to know about your schedule, Alli, that like I can maybe implement into mine and see if it works. And like for anybody that's listening, if you're like 6 a.m., I could never like unless you truly feel like that's not for you, then don't do it. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
try it, and if it doesn't work, then don't do it because a lot of us like try to force ourselves to adopt these methods that other people do, but like the reason why my method works for me is because it works for me. Like it's very unique to me. Like I'm not a night person. Some people like my husband will stay up until like 1 in the morning working. Like I can't and then wake up happy at 7 o'clock. Like I can't do that. Like if I don't have my sleep, I am just not a nice person. And I also can't think straight. So just figure out what method works for you. Try new things and like be flexible with it for sure.
Oh, 100%. And I've sort of found that, so Matt and I own a gym. And so my AMs are very much focused on benchmark fitness. And then now it's nice to kind of come home around lunchtime. And depending on what my afternoon looks like, I will either, start with, come home, walk the dogs. Or if I'm shorter on time based on, podcast interviews, calls, meetings, then that might fall down a little bit later. But I effectively now slice my day in half, like benchmark fitness, inspire, and move. And then I always just sort of jokingly say that like 3 p.m. onwards can be kind of like witching hour here in our house because the dog's dinner time is at 5 and there's 3 of them. And so you get one that's ready to go for dinner, but it's actually not dinner time. The little click clack of the paws, and then multiply that by another dog and then another dog. So I actually sometimes now just block off where like, okay, I'm just going to do dog walks, or I'll do like really like small tasks that don't require a lot of creativity or thinking. They'll have dinner at 5, and then Matt is the cook in our house. I am like a very lucky wife that I don't not the primary chef in our kitchen. So I'll actually really enjoy working sort of, 5:30, 6 o'clock to 7. It might only be an hour, hour and a half, and whether it's a glass of wine or a glass of kombucha, and I'll sort of sit in my office with a candle and my glass of whatever I'm enjoying and get some work time. And I kind of have like a flow state for about an hour, hour and a half before dinner. And then mindfully kind of close my laptop or my phone. I can still get better at that when we're sort of having dinner, watch a show, power down, because I do find that if I'm on my laptop or phone, it will affect my sleep if I'm on it too close to bedtime.
Yeah, so it's funny because we used to sit up. I'm also not the cook. Matt cooks. He also does the laundry. I don't do laundry. I would rather send it out, but he wants to do it, so he can do it. So grateful for that. But so
Love that.
we would sit up and watch a movie, and then like we would both be on our laptops. And so Matt is also an entrepreneur, and so both of us at the same time, we had to like to the point where we're like, okay, we actually need to watch this movie. Like, we can't be working and watching this movie. And so we've been really working hard on being more intentional with our time together, because sometimes it's, it's not actually quality time. And so that's something that we've been aware of. But, even when I say I love your schedule, even when I say like I'm flexible, it's like Sebi has football and basketball, and so those seasons change and those practices change, and so those are my non-negotiables. Like, yes, I need the hour, before I everybody wakes up, but like one of the biggest things that I do not take for granted at all is being able to say no. I have to pick up my son at 3:30, so I have a hard stop, or I don't care how important the meeting is, like I need to get my son, and that's not an option. Or when it's a half day or parent teacher conference or sports, like that to me is really important. And what I realize is, if you sacrifice the things that are really, really important to you, you're not going to be able to be fully present in whatever it is that you're doing. Now, I say this from a very privileged position. Again, I want to highlight, like, I'm an entrepreneur. I choose to do this. Like, I'm not working a forced 9 to 5. So I know that that might not translate for every single person. But as an entrepreneur, and as many of the listeners from my community are entrepreneurs, like, I always tell myself, like, I get to be an entrepreneur. Nobody's forcing me to work for myself. Like, I get to build my dream, And so with that, I want to make sure that I'm present for my kid, because if I'm not, guess what? This client's going to get a pissy Marina, and they don't deserve that either. And so just really making sure that you figure out what's non-negotiables for you. For me, it's my kid, my family, and, my quiet time in the morning.
I think that's wonderful to know, like effectively like pillars, like, there's your core values and what your pillars are in a day and just your life as a whole, because, yes, it's a day, but it's every week and, every month and every year that what's important. And I love seeing how, you have mom and son date nights, which is amazing. Do you and Matt also have, like, do you guys enjoy going out for date nights in, a week or a couple times a month?
Yes. Yeah. So we'll do monthly date nights. It will, again, in full transparency, it'll be like, oh shit, let's do date night. Like, let's see if your parents can come pick them up this time. And so, but when we do it, it is really fun to just see how much we have to catch up on, even though we see each other and we talk every single day and like all day, every day. But just being able to, sit at a dinner table without Sebastian, to be able to just like dive into all the things that we're working on, what we want to do better, like what we're excited about, is really great. And so we do it once a month, and it's definitely something that, not that we need to do it more, but something that we just want more quiet time, just even if it's not just the two of us, three of us, just together. Like, I feel like our days have been so crazy. And you talked about kind of pillars. And so, as I shared before, so I have empowered confidence, I have the blueprint. So in a matter of, just a few months, I went from having 20 clients to 74 clients. And it like really like changed everything in terms of my schedule. And so it's really important if you're listening of, I have all these things on my plate. So I will like segment out my life essentially. So I have things for Sebastian, things for family. I have things for the Blueprint, things for empowered confidence, things for my consultant clients. And then I will segment out my days. So I know that Mondays are all admin for both the Blueprint and empowered confidence. Tuesdays are all the Blueprint. Wednesdays are all my coaching clients for my brand business accelerator course. And then like Wednesday and Thursday. And so like I break things down that way. I'm not so overwhelmed with all of the different like things, and you don't feel pulled left and right, you know?
Mm. Well, and I know we were talking before we hit record about, well, I actually want to know what you're reading right now, but the book that I'm listening to, because I've just recently got into audiobooks as well as actual physical books, and I'm reading Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, and it is so great, and it is really fascinating to hear, when you think about your tasks, and I think I even heard this on a podcast that Brendon Bouchard was talking about. You and I, like, obviously here we are recording a podcast, but let's just say I chose to open an email alert that it comes through. That will completely derail my thought process of the conversation that you and I are having, let alone if you are, working in something admin, Blueprint, or maybe you're planning out a keynote for the mastermind, and then you check your email or an Instagram notification or a text message. Now your brain has completely been derailed and switched that to that task of like, oh, I'm going to respond to this message. And then you want to get back to that task, and you kind of, it probably takes you about like 20 minutes to get back in that creative state of what you were actually working on.
Yeah, and they say something like it takes 7 minutes every time you get pulled away. And so like imagine, yeah, 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 7, it's like your whole day is just gone. And so that's why even one thing that I did learn from my husband Matt, so he which used to bother me early on when we first started dating, is he's always on do not disturb when he's working. And it drives me insane because I am like, I am trying to disturb you. Like, please answer
Yeah.
my call. This is very important. I want to show you the dress I got. Like something so not important. And so that I go on do not disturb now because I'm like, I need just like my 90 minutes of deep work, or I need to just not be distracted to finish this one task, because you will have other things to do, but they're just not that important. Like they just need to wait. And so I do that. And then I also have, what is it called? All my notifications turned off. I have no
Mm.
text message notifications, no Instagram, no email, like no notifications. I check my emails at specific times during the day. And I like really like work my hardest to not check my phone while I'm doing whatever, like that one task that I'm doing.
Do you have an Apple Watch?
I do. And it's the worst.
How do you find how do you find that? Because like on one hand, I love the notifications, but how does that work in your sort of flow state in that like 90-minute pocket of work?
Yeah, so the only notifications that go on my Apple Watch are telling me that I need to breathe and that the like noise is too loud and I need to stand up. Everything else besides calls is turned off.
Hmm. Okay, smart. I have homework to do after our podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go adjust my adjust my
Because it'll like
notification.
vibrate, and I'm like, oh, it's just telling me to breathe. I'll be in the middle of a podcast, and I will be like, oh, what is it? Oh, it's telling me to stand up. It's the worst. It's like, and it's vibrating on your arm. So, I love my Apple Watch. I'll never, give it up. But I turned off most of the notifications.
Okay, yeah, homework for me after. Okay, I have so many things I still want to ask you, but I do want to know if there is capacity right now. What are you reading, either like listening to or physically reading?
Yeah, so I'm reading The Messy Truth right now by Alli Webb, which is very funny because she's also my business partner. But it's really funny because I met her during one of the hardest times of her life, and she talks about it in the book. And although I felt like, oh, I knew everything, The Messy Truth is so like, it just gives you chills, and it's so beautiful, and it really shows a side of someone that is lots of pain in it, but
Mm.
she also overcomes a lot of it. And so she has the audio and the book, and I'm such an audio and book type of gal. Like I just want to listen and read the book at the same time, and so I will have the audio book going and reading. It's very funny. And so that's The Messy Truth that I'm doing that. But I also have been saying this on every podcast. One of the books that has truly changed my life is 100 essays that will change the way you think, or something like that.
Yeah, Brianna White or Weist. I actually am not certain how to say her last name, but
Alli. It is amazing. It's amazing. Like I keep rereading the essays, and they're just so like mind-blowing. And they just make you think about things so differently, and also normalizes a lot of the feelings that you have that like you feel really guilty for having, like they're just, it's such a great book. Such a great book. I highly recommend everybody read it.
I have read a few of her books and not that one though, which is shocking. I swear that's like the only one I have not read. I've read This Is How You Heal, or You Can Heal Your Life, pardon me. And Mountain Is You. I did that as an audio, but
Yep.
there are some really powerful, like multiple powerful moments in her books. And so I always like to keep Post-it notes basically
Yeah.
everywhere. I'm obsessed with Post-it notes, but I write down all the books. I do podcasts. So I'm like, 100
Yeah.
essays, add to cart, need
Yeah,
to
you
read.
gotta get it, because it's also not like a book that you have to like sit through and read the whole thing. Like you can pick an essay a day and just read it.
Mm,
It's amazing.
I love that. Okay, and one thing I wanted to ask you when we were sort of on the notion of, date nights and how it's nice when you and Matt go out or stay in and have that quality time. I actually have a two-part question, and it's
Mm.
kind of very different. I want to know how you celebrate your wins, because you are in this transformative, just like momentum season, and I'm loving it. So I want to know how you love celebrating those wins. And then my follow-up question, not really related, but I would love to know what your love language is.
Okay. How I celebrate my wins. So I am working on doing better at celebrating my wins. I
Mhm.
will. So let's say like we launched the Blueprint. I celebrate on Instagram. I'm like, woo, yay. I like, my text group chat and stuff like that. And then that's it. Like I don't really like do anything to celebrate. I'll do like a happy dance and that's it. And I noticed that it's because I'm always just aware of, I'm just always so like, okay, I need this to be successful. I need this to be good. Like I'm very, very hard on myself. That's something that I'm like, just one of the things that I just, how I am. And so I'm working on working to like take a moment and be present with what's happening and be really excited versus like looking for what, not what else, because I don't want to say like what else, what's next. It's not what about what's next. It's like, how do I make this the best thing ever, rather than like, this is the best thing ever, I'm living in it, And so yeah, I'm not the best at celebrating wins. I do like a happy dance and like, just like congratulations via text, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. And then my
Okay,
love
so
language.
yeah, well, we're gonna have some homework for you to do on
Yeah.
your celebrations, because yeah, that's pretty weak.
Really?
And I say that with so much love. You're doing so many big, amazing things. We gotta elevate how you celebrate.
Yeah, I am truly like the hardest on myself. It's insane. It's insane. And I'm just like, why am I like that? Because I'm not like I root my friends on, and like Sebi breathes and I'm like, yeah, you did amazing. Like it's so bad. But for myself, it's very hard for me to like actually celebrate. But so my love language, I love receiving gifts. Gifts is a big thing for me. It's just like, and I love I love
You're
talking about
literally
love
like my
language.
first friend who's like, I love getting gifts. I love.
Yes. Literally drown me in presents. Like that is what I love. Matt loves quality time. I'm like, ugh, come on. Like I can't do this. But so what's really funny is that, you learn a lot when you're in a relationship. And so Matt gives like acts of service. Okay. I am not an acts of service type of gal, meaning receiving love. I don't need you to do anything for me. That's just like not how I
Just
am.
buy me a present.
Buy me a present, write me a note, like write me a note. Like, and so like when I say gifts, like it is funny saying it out loud, but like I love like he'll get my coffee in the morning and I'm like, I will stay married to you until the day I die. Like, thank you. Like coffee in the morning, or he will go to the grocery store and just like get something that he knows that I want, even if it's like a little treat or whatever. Like he gets me stuff at the airport when he's flying back, even if it's like knickknacks. I just like love gifts. Like I love stuff. I love like gestures of that, right? And so it goes that, and then I would say physical touch, and then that's it. What is it? Quality time, acts of service. Acts of service is the last thing. For
And
him,
words of affirmation.
oh, words of affirmation. Yeah, sorry. So okay, it would go physical gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and then acts of service. And so what's interesting is, which I think is such a like a fun activity that everybody should do with their partner, like to why I said like acts of service, like Matt and I will get into an argument, or like even if he thinks he's helping me, I noticed this early on. He would like clean the pantry, and like I would come back from a trip, and I'm like, I don't say anything about the pantry, and then I'm like, did you see I cleaned the pantry? I'm like, yeah. Like, what do you want from me? And he's like, aren't you so happy? And I'm like, yeah, like, so happy, like, why does this and I realize this because, like, his love language that he wants to give is acts of service, and just because you think someone should receive that, that's not their love language, so it's really important to know what someone's love language is. His is quality time and physical touch, like, he needs to be, like, on my ass, on the couch, and, like, spending time, and I'm like, this doesn't work for me. So you just kind of have to like get it's so our relationship honestly is the best. It's so funny. But yeah, that is mine. What's yours? What is your love language?
Words of affirmation
Okay.
and quality time.
Okay.
Like,
I'm
I was at
divided.
the
I'm like
gym.
physical
Yeah.
and I like gifts.
Love that so much. But you know what? I do see your point about like Matt also does the groceries before he comes home and cooks the meals. And he could buy me like a $7.99 green juice and I could just see it in the fridge. And I was like, oh my God, that's so thoughtful.
That's what I'm talking about. And I think
So I
like my
do see that.
my best friend, her boyfriend, when they were in college, he lived in Jersey and we lived in Rhode Island for school. He would write her letters and mail it. And so she would get these like mailed letters. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's what I mean by like gifts. It's just these like thoughtful little things, you know? And it's not because you can't do it. Like I can buy myself whatever, but it's just this idea of like, hey, I thought of you. Here is this like thoughtful little thing.
Oh, totally. And even notes, like when Matt and I started dating, and obviously we didn't live together. So he would leave my apartment and he would leave a little note like on a picture frame or something. I'm like, can't wait to see you again soon or whatever the plan was. And I love that. I think I honestly have them in my desk drawer here and now in our shared home. But and I think those are really cool, even conversations to have. We actually had a dinner party on the weekend and I was like, okay, guys, I want to know what everyone's love language is. And then we went around the table and my one friend's husband was like, I don't have one. I was like, you don't have one? I told him we'll circle back on the conversation another time. So it's like, I think you do. But the rest of us participated and talked about our love languages because I think it's so interesting in your relationships, like romantic relationships, but also friendships, work relationships. Like even you, Jaclyn, and Alli, you three are partners. It would be so cool for you guys to know what's your love language. And I know there's Enneagrams as well, but just kind of how you vibe and provide like love and support for one another.
Yeah, I'm gonna literally while you were talking, I was like, oh, I'm gonna text them and ask them what it is because it really is important to understand how someone not wants to be treated, but like receives love, you know, like and when I worked at Yahoo, we had a new CEO and one of the measurements one of the measurements that he would do is in terms of a success of a client would be love. And I remember I'll never forget this, like walked in on one of the seminars that he had and it just had the word love in big bold letters and they said he said, whenever you're in a room and someone's like, oh, I love that restaurant or I love this outfit or that is like the highest like value. And it really, I was like, I always want to create experiences where people feel like they can walk away and say, oh, I really loved that. And so understanding how someone receives love in work or personal is so important. So I'm going to ask them.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Like I had a guy at the gym last week that just came out of nowhere and he's like, "You guys are doing a really great job here." And he paid this nice compliment about the gym and I was like, "Oh my God, do you want like a free month?" Like that's just made me feel so nice.
Yeah.
I did not cry, but I was like inside, I was like, "Oh my God, happy tears." Like this, I'm a affirmation girl, so this is so special. Because I also feel like it takes effort for someone to say something like that. Or, when one woman compliments another woman, I feel like that just holds such a different regard than, a guy saying like, "Oh, I really like your turtleneck.
Totally.
I like your sweater."
100%.
But a well-dressed female, and I mean, as a personal branding expert, you've got to appreciate that too, probably.
Yeah, like, and I'm such a girl's girl, so I'm like, I just love like meeting girls in a bathroom, and being like, oh my God, what is that lipstick? Oh my God, how's your night? You know what I mean? Like, it's just the best thing ever. So I couldn't agree more.
I'm pumped for your three-way chat about love languages, and then you guys are just gonna all like be that much tighter for the next time you have a reunion together.
100%. And I'll tag you. I'll post it and see what they say.
Yeah, love that. Okay, what else was going on for Marina? What are you working on? Like, you were in busy season. Like, what can we just actually hear? I have an
Yeah.
even better idea.
Oh,
Let's celebrate a win, a Marina Middelton win. Right here, right now. Everyone's listening. Let's celebrate a win. Go.
God. Oh my God. What is a win? Oh, my brain literally goes to like keeping my kid alive for 8 years. Like that's like my biggest win. I feel like that's like success.
That's a
No,
great win.
honestly, right? That's a good win. That's a big one.
That's a great win. Super important. Keep winning at that.
Yes. Yes. No, honestly, I think my biggest win right now that I'm really, really, really excited about that I have not taken a minute because and I know like if you've ever felt like this, like during launch, you're like, go, 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 go. You're not actually celebrating how many people have already enrolled. And we're in launch right now for the Blueprint. And we have in just a couple days, we have 12 or 13 women that have enrolled. And I feel like I have not taken a second to be like, holy crap, that's amazing.
That is
That's a
amazing.
win.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank
Are
you
you
so
proud of
much.
you too?
Yes, I'm really proud of myself and the team and all the members that have already been in that are like rooting for us because really we wouldn't have been able to keep doing this if it wasn't for them.
Okay, I think it's time for people to know where they can like find you and root for you because, well, as I've said many times, I'm obsessed with you, and I love your Instagram. I think your content, which is also incredible, where you fit that in with your stacked days through the week. But where can everyone find you and celebrate you and follow along?
I am living on Instagram. So Marina A. Middleton is where everybody can find me. And then all of my links are in my bio. So it changes. So right now we have the Blueprint. I'm sure it'll change for something else in a few months. But yeah, you can find everything on Instagram. And I would love for anybody that listened, if there was like a big takeaway or even like the routine, if they're going to take that and like try it out. Just DM me and let me know because that's like my biggest thing. I sometimes we record podcasts or like you speak on stage and then like you never hear from people and I'm just like I want to know like what resonated with you. So for anybody that's listening, just send me a DM and let me know what resonated.
I would love that, and then send me the screenshots of the DMs because I also want to know.
Yes.
And one final question: are there still spots for the next Blueprint if people want to like connect with you and join that like transformative experience?
Yes. Yep. You can still enroll. We have early bird until December 31st, which is $2,500 off, and then doors will officially close February 1st.
Amazing. And we're going to put everything in the show notes in terms of Marina's links, Blueprint links, but definitely give her a follow and connect with her because she's a force.
Thank you so much for
I'm
having me.
just
You're amazing. And I love all of the impact that you're creating and just the energy you're putting out there. So thank you. I'm so honored that you had me. I will celebrate this tonight.
perfect. I can't wait. Tag me.
Yes, I will.
Love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And you guys, thank you all for listening and following along. Can't wait to connect with you. And if you have a few minutes and you're down to give a 5-star rating review, I would so appreciate that. That's my heart-filled ask. But until then, have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you took 30 seconds and shared this on social media, send it to a friend, or leave a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I am so grateful to have you part of mine.